Okay, so we're gonna draw Selkie, and I told you before that I printed pictures out of my printer, but I'm out of ink, so they're kind of faded, but that's what I'm working with. And we've talked before about using simple lines and simple shapes that we see in order to try to draw something that seems complicated. So that's what we're going to look at on here. I'm drawing with a pencil so that I can erase things that I don't need. And a lot of times I make lots of marks and then I erase what I don't want. I keep what I do. So if you have to make lots of marks, that's okay. And this is another time when drawing light till you get it right would be a good idea. So if we think about our art elements, when I look at this Selkie picture here, I kind of see like an oval for my seal's body. So on my paper, I'm going to draw an oval for my seal's body. And then from there, I feel like this is kind of like this like party hat triangle thing that's coming off of here. And I notice how it hits kind of like halfway between that oval shape. So on my oval here, I'm going to kind of think about where that halfway mark is, and I'm going to draw that kind of party hat coming off. All right. So now from here, I want to add this little back flipper that I see. So it looks kind of like a J, or I could make it kind of like it's an oval with like a little bit of a point. You get to decide. And it doesn't come off the edge, it overlaps and comes off of that kind of triangle part at my seal's bottom. Put that on there. My front flipper, this shape that I see here is kind of like an oval. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to draw that oval in here. And I read that that's what's kind of unique to sea lions. They can use these front flippers to prop themselves up and move and swim, and it will go forward and it will go backwards, which is different from seals. And then this is kind of like a little shark fin coming off the back here. When I look at this seal, I can see that there's a little hint of the flipper that's on the other side showing. So I can go ahead and I can kind of put that in too. And when I look at this, I'm kind of realizing that I want this oval to kind of come out more, make my seal a little fatter. This might be a good time to kind of go back and erase some of the lines you don't want. I wouldn't get into too many little details yet because that's for later. And I tell older kids to go real simple to real detailed, or go real general to real specific. I'm kind of curving some of my points because I feel like I need to. All right, so now my seal needs a head. So if I look at this, it's kind of like a circle on top, but it's also kind of has like a little bit of a flat top, which I think is kind of hard to see, but we're going to give it a whirl. And it's not sitting on top of here. It's kind of overlapping on this. So I'm going to draw it overlapping. And then I want it to kind of be flat up on the top. So I am going to erase that little part because I feel like that'll be easier to see. So right at the tip of this is where I see this little triangle spot for a nose. And then kind of like where the nose comes down to meet the mouth. And the mouth is kind of like a little upside down V or tip of a triangle. See? And then kind of straight back from the nose is where that eye is. And the eye's kind of like back here. And then I know I don't need this line anymore. And I know I don't need this line anymore. And I could probably kind of curve this a little bit more so it makes a little bit more sense. So My sea lion looks pretty simple and done. I used my simple lines and simple shapes that I saw. If I want to go in and start adding some values in and some textures, think about how my sea lions have those cool whiskers. Maybe some dots where those whiskers are growing out. Sea lions, since his body's moving like this or her body's moving like this, there's going to be like some wrinkles. Kind of like if I have my wrist and I bend my wrist, see how those wrinkles show up? It's not just because I'm old, you have them too. So I want those lines to show. Down on the flippers, there might be some little lines. And then when I look at this, that flipper is definitely darker. So I'm just kind of using my pencil on the side to add value and try to make it look a little bit more realistic. The sea lion's darker on the belly on the bottom because this is where the land would be. And if there's sun shining up here, the sun can't get down to this part. So you're going to see a shadow. So I can make it a little bit darker on the bottom. I can make it darker right there because it's kind of like my sea lion Selkie's armpit, and that flipper is overlapping the armpit, so it's darker there. I can make it a little bit shaded up here too. The reason why I kind of curved my pencil like this is because if I think of a sea lion's not flat, it's fat. It's like a sculpture technically. It's a form, it's something real. And if I were to draw on an actual sea lion, my pencil wouldn't go straight across. It would curve because their body's curved. Like their body here is kind of like a big fat cylinder. So that's why I'm kind of making my pencil curve a little bit back and forth. Same thing back here. And there we go. We have a sea lion, a Selkie.